Okay, in this video, I'm going to show you how you can back the eyes when you're using white eyes. So if you have a frog or maybe a monster with big googly eyes, how can you back that white fabric to minimize the fabric that's showing through behind it? And I'm actually usually not trying to make it go away completely. I actually don't mind seeing a little bit of the fabric coming through. If you want to eliminate it completely, you can use a slightly thicker white fabric that I'm starting with, but basically I just want to haze out anything that's showing through from the back. And it's really, really easy to do. So this is my secret weapon. This is Heat and Bond Fusible Interfacing, and it is the medium weight. You can also use the lightweight. Basically, that is a very sheer fabric that has little glue dots on the back of it. And you wouldn't think that something this sheer, like you can see my hand through it, would help, but it actually makes a huge difference. And I'm going to show you a little scrap of fabric here. So this is, let me get this as close as I can to this. So you can see here where the edge of the interfacing is. This is a really, really thin white fabric. I'm not even sure why I have this. Usually I use a Kona cotton. This is definitely way thinner than Kona. I think this is actually some cheap muslin that I grabbed by accident. So this is a really, really thin fabric, and I used it deliberately so that you could see, even with a really thin, really inexpensive fabric, this is going to help a lot. So you can see that what I've done is I've taken my plain white fabric that I'm going to fuse the eyes onto, and I'm using the Fusible adhesive. So I take that white fabric, and then I take the Fusible interfacing. Remember, the interfacing is different than Fusible adhesive. Both of them are glues that will melt with your iron. Let me just show you this. So this is the Fusible adhesive. This is the one I use, is Heat and Bond Easy Print Light. And if you've never used it before, here's an example. It's a paper-backed Fusible adhesive. The paper on this is temporary. The back side of this paper is bumpy. You can feel it. There's like a thin film of glue on the back of the paper. And the way it works is you fuse your glue to the back of an applique piece. Here's what that looks like. So you fuse your glue first, you fuse your paper to the back of a fabric like this. So here's the right side. I'm fusing it to the wrong side. Then I cut the eye out. This is not going to be an eyeball. This is just to talk to you about the adhesive. You cut that out cleanly, so it looks like this. And then you pull off that paper backing, and only the adhesive is left behind. So with the Fusible adhesive, it's really just the glue that's being left behind. The paper gets peeled away and tossed. For the Fusible interfacing, the fabric that is here is going to be fused to your fabric permanently. So the fabric is part of it. There's no paper backing with this. So the way that this works is the fabric feels smooth on one side and it feels bumpy on the other side. I'm not sure if you'll be able to see the bumps in here. Yep, you can see them a little bit. So the fabric, all those little bumps are tiny little dots of glue. And when you lay this bumpy side down on the back of your fabric and fuse it in place, all those little dots melt and glue this sheet of very thin fabric permanently to the back of your main fabric. So that's what I've done here. I've got this sheet of the Fusible interfacing is permanently fused to the back of the white fabric. So you do that step first, and then you take the eye pieces. This is now the paper-backed Fusible adhesive, not the interfacing. This is the Fusible interfacing. This is the fabric. This is the Fusible interfacing, and this is the Fusible adhesive. Fuse this then to the interfacing side of our white fabric. Then you cut it out, and you're left with a slightly thicker white circle that you can then use in your applique and have minimal fabric show through. And again, this is what it'll look like when you're done. And you can see a little bit of that gingham shading through. If I had used a nicer weight Kona cotton on this, I doubt that you would have seen that at all. I just was out of that. This is what I had on hand, so this is what I used. So just as a reminder, just like if I'm working from the bottom up of these layers, because there's actually 3 layers here. The bottom layer is your white fabric. Then to that you fuse your fusible interfacing, and then on top of that you fuse your fusible adhesive, and that's how you get a little extra thicker dots to make nice white googly eyes.